What's up guys, it is that and again I'm here again with another video, and I am sick right now. If I sound stuffy, okay, I should be feeling better tomorrow because my nose has started to clear up. I wasn't sure if I would do this video, but I guess I will. Okay, we're going to be going through the brackets, and I'm going to be looking at it from another screen, so I'll kind of just be going through the brackets like manually. I will say, like, when I was going through these brackets, because I always do like a little look through before I actually do the video, because I don't want to go through the video and like I don't like put out a script for this stuff, but I don't want to go through all the brackets and know absolutely nothing and then I'm stumbling the whole time, right? Like I like to get a general idea of how strong the alliances in each region are, so I just like have a general idea of stuff before I just go in head first, ready to stumble on everything. That being said, I was looking at through some brackets, and I feel like there were a lot more alliances near 10 billion or so, at least in this bracket. I don't know if I just missed them because they weren't in G10, like the top G10. Like they might have been below that as well, which is kind of crazy because that means there's probably a lot of alliances we're missing. But there, I feel like the top scale is kind of closing in. The biggest issue for me though is always the lack of like insane whales, because you can have like 50 T6 guys if you want, but if you don't have that one guy with jacked freaking gear, right? Like if he doesn't have jack gear, jack parts, all that stuff, your rallies aren't going to be trading well, your towers aren't going to be trading well. Even if you're a 20 billion, 50 billion alliance, it's not really going to matter if your best player has like, purple parts, right? That's usually the biggest issue I see with some of these groups. And I don't know, man, like I think like they're gonna have to condense or something if they want to kind of be able to compete. That being said, B1, like I feel like the first few brackets were kind of rigged, which I mean, to be fair, like who doesn't know it already? Like I feel like the top few brackets are always handpicked or rigged somewhat, because there's no way that the matchmaking would literally never put three big groups into one bracket. I don't think I ever see that, where they don't put three big groups in one bracket. A lot of the time though, I don't know. I feel like the pairing is just so on point a lot of the time. Like they rarely pair allies with each other. Like right now in B2, right? You got 16, you got 102, which are allies, right? So they're likely not to fight. But you rarely see this type of stuff. I feel like this might have been intentional to maybe give them a break, or maybe I'm just missing something. That being said, we're gonna hop right in. So B1, we have Region 4, we have Region 10, and we have Region 8. The thing is, I don't think I have to be the one to say it, but Region 8, I don't think they're really gonna be able to do much in this type of bracket. Like it just is how it is. Um, I feel like 4 definitely dominates this one, just because I feel like Region 10's lost a lot of players, right? So I feel like Region 4 is most likely to kind of have dominant hand in this bracket. B2, we're looking at 16, 22, and 102, kind of just a rough situation all around, right? Like I don't really. I think 22 just got thrown in the mix, and they're probably gonna get smacked around, which is kind of unfortunate. I feel like I can just skip through these brackets since they're kind of self-explanatory. I don't think there's gonna be like competition between 16 or 102 unless it's mutually agreed, and then even then, it's not like they're probably gonna be fighting with their fangs out. B3, we have Region 5, we have Region 96, and we have Region 121. This one is just heavily skewed in 96's favor, right? Like it just like there 96 was basically given cows to feed on, right? Like just slaughter the cows basically. It's kind of crazy to me. It's kind of crazy. Um, DHX actually dropped a lot of my. I'm actually surprised. Like I know a lot of people had. I don't know if they migrated in just for the fight and then they migrated out, because like for example, I think I saw Cassandra in another region. Like she was here before. Just a lot of people. And actually, you know what? I think I might know why people migrated. Never mind. So I'm assuming they're migrating for the event, right? The current event that's up right now to get the castle skin, because it's going to be much harder for a group like this to kind of compete among themselves. Same happens, I see, with like a lot of regions or a lot of top regions. You'll have like a lot of whales kind of migrate into random regions, maybe just for easy kind of easier kind of rewards. Also, they probably don't want to steal the like possible chance of getting a skin from the main alliances. So that's all I can really assume. Either way, B3 is just really in their favor. I don't think I really have to say much in that case. B4, kind of skewed as well. I mean, it's not as bad. You get Region 26 here. Region 26, I feel like they lost a good chunk of their group right in the past, but it's even in their 12 billion might, and overall Region 26 are still a pretty good fighter group. You know what I mean? But they're basically fighting 17 and 98. I'm not sure if these two will even team up at all or anything. I mean, the thing is, 17 is a pretty strong group. But I feel like BTW just has so much T6 field presence. It's really going to depend on how active they are and how many fighters 17 can kind of coordinate. Because I feel like no matter what I say, right? Like I know 17 is a pretty at least solid fighter group, but I don't have like a full understanding of some of these brackets or some of these alliances, you know what I mean? Even if I like 17, I can't confidently say that they'll be able to like defend themselves, right? I'm not sure how good they are at coordinating or anything. I don't really have like uh the best understanding of that, even if I think that they're a pretty good fighter group. And I mean, like, even at 10 billion might, they just don't have like the crazy T6 player base that like 26 has, you know what I mean? 90 is definitely, I feel like, in a better spot. Um, but that also depends, right? Like I think there are probably more whales here. They also do have just their insane mega whale MK, and his armaments are insane. I've seen his armaments, okay, guys. Like I saw those things, they are jacked. But it's kind of the same situation. I don't know how many T6 players they have. I'm not sure how well coordinated they are. I do know they are a fighting group, but I feel like that's the extent of my knowledge, right? Like until I see a few of their brackets of them fighting it out, coordinating really well, I can't really have like a good understanding on how well they are. So Region 20, this is B5 by the way. Region 20 here, we got Region 41 and we got Region 120. So Region 20, I feel like they've definitely kind of powered back up. And I was talking to Burn, and it seemed that I guess they migrated down to check out how the bracketing would work. And they said the bracketing wasn't any better there. And the thing is, I feel like this is I feel like the bracketing is weird because it's something like this. In older regions, the bracketing might be semi better, but at the same time, it might be worse because if you're in an older region, right? Like, let's say you're in region 5, even if their combat strength is, let's say, 12 billion, and, let's say region 4 and region 16, their combat strength is 20 billion, 30 billion, whatever. Well, just because you have the old age factor kind of factored in, you're more likely to be kind of paired with the big dogs. So, you're kind of put into a really rough situation where sometimes you'll be kind of just thrown in as fodder, right? So, no matter what, it's kind of a rough situation. But if you're in a younger region, you are fighting a lot of migrators. Not only that, you might be fighting a lot of actual like baby whales, right? Like you have a lot of whales kind of in younger regions. But like I was saying, you might be fighting a lot more active, really big groups that migrated down, and that's a big issue as well. Uh, Sorry. But you might be fighting other big groups like that, which honestly, that's not the worst. I actually kind of like that in itself. Like, I actually like the idea of fighting these migrator groups, but I don't really like the idea of migrating in itself. I like not down regions. It's not really my thing. It's not really something I really would care for or would enjoy like to that extent. Like, but that's just me personally, right? Like, I kind of prefer the older regions, and I don't know what it is about it. That's kind of just how I feel, right? And I think the biggest issue is really matchmaking and finding a lot of people on par with you in like older regions. You know what I mean? Because just so many alliances and groups have migrated down that the amount in these older regions is really thin. Okay, so region 41, we're still in a B5 by the way. We've seen Mink before. It's a pretty big group. We're not even capping here, okay? It's a pretty big group. They also got Jinny who has maxed out gear. I feel like having a player like that is the one of the biggest game changers you can have. You know what I mean? Being able to have somebody who's jacked out of the world, like even if your group is insanely big, that in itself just big game changer, right? Like for your legion, for your alliance, whatever. Okay. Region 120. I feel like Region 120 as a whole is probably like I mean, they're smaller, right? They're definitely smaller, but at the same time, I'm not really sure, right? Like it's kind of hard for me to like just tell with some of these groups sometimes. And I know I said that already, but it's sometimes kind of hard, right? Like Cassandra, I'm not really sure how good of a fighter Cassandra is. I feel like they're big, and you see this, Cassandra a lot, but I don't think they put up like crazy numbers. So it's not someone like I'd find super reliable. But this guy looks like he's willing to fight. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know with some of these groups. I mean, like EXXP, he definitely looks like a good fighter with a 1.6 ID, already having a 324 million kills. I mean, honestly, I think both these groups will be fine for themselves if they like defend. If they go in the offensive, I'd say I'm not even gonna comment on that. I can't even say if which group would be stronger. I feel like it's between 41 and 120. I feel like 20 is kind of in the back corner in this one, just because lacking T6 players right now, especially since I feel like they started just moving in recently, and like just even the gear in itself, right? All right, so we're gonna look at B6, which is region 59, 142, and 147. Guys, you know what? You know one thing I've noticed, and I've noticed this for a while, but just one thing I was looking at, it's like you look at a lot of these groups, and I'll see like let's say a 200, 300 million player a lot, and it kind of sucks because I feel like if they have good kills, you can assume that someone that size maybe has spent like a pretty solid amount. And it's like, if that's the case, where are you spending? Maybe it's on armaments, but a lot of the time I'll see like a 200, 300 million guy who doesn't have like, they have like purple and gold armaments, or not armaments, but parts, which in itself isn't like bad, but it's like, that's something that you should be investing in. So when I see people who have like heavily jacked parts, which kind of indicates to me they probably worked on their armaments as well. When I see somebody like that, at like kind of a leveled might, it just makes me smile. It just makes me smile, and I'm like, yeah, this is one of those really smart spenders. And in all fairness, it's not like cheap to get your parts up, right? Like getting full gold is not cheap. Getting full red is not cheap. Maxing them out is not cheap at all. But just when you see these guys are like such a big might, it's kind of a hard say. Like this isn't actually bad. This is actually pretty solid. For 400 million kills, about 1.5 ID. Like, he's 16 million deads. I feel like this dude's definitely a spender, but I don't think he's like a massive spender either, right? Like, I feel like he spends enough to kind of be somewhere that he feels like comfortable at. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the feeling I get from something like this. And having full gold parts there, pretty nice. That's actually pretty nice. And like this group actually has a lot of people with a lot of kills. You know what I mean? I think I actually checked this group out before, but I feel like a group like this definitely is one who puts up numbers and is able to field fight and able to field control and kind of stuff like that, and kind of makes you confident in their capabilities. This is region 147. Did I already look at region 142? I don't know if I just glimmered over that. I think I no, I didn't. Okay, region 142. These guys, I feel like they're kind of on par with Region 147, but on a lesser scale. I mean, even the gear, you know what I mean? Like, they're definitely on a, like, lesser scale of gear, like, overall. And, I mean, obviously, they are split between two alliances, so it is a bit different. But I feel like Region 147 definitely has like the gear, which will make their trades on like a Metro fight or something better. I always say Metro fight, and I mean I get like a lot of people aren't interested in Metro fights, but I personally am. I think Metro fights are some of the most interesting aspects of DarkSeal. Like you can hit all the bases you want throughout the event, and fair and fair. But I feel like Metro fights definitely spice stuff up, and it makes stuff really exciting for me at the very least. You know what I mean? I find Metro fights to be pretty interesting. I find, field fighting over the Metro just overall it's more fun than just going around and hitting bases throughout the event. You know what I mean? So it's pretty nice to speculate on, oh, is this group better? Is this group better? This is someone I'm talking about, by the way. Punisher right here. Dude's a 1.5 ID, 300 million might. He obviously doesn't have the most insane kill count. Like, he's at 233 million. But it tells me that this guy definitely spent where he needed to spend. You know what I mean? Like, he spent in all the right places. And 16 million deads with, like, 233 million kills. I'm not even trying to, like, say that's bad, right? Like, That would just mean he probably does less field fighting and probably does a lot more tower swarms and stuff, which is really good for an alliance in general. But almost maxed out parts. I'm assuming this dude's working on his armaments as well. I think I looked at these guys before in the last like island, but these two definitely knew where they were spending. I definitely love seeing that because it's like you get those smart spenders, right? Like if you're spending anywhere, you can spend on parts, right? Like if you're a big spender like this guy, he probably spent a majority of his like money that he spent in the game on parts. At least that's what I'm assuming. And it's not like you get zero speed ups from those packs or zero gems from those packs that you can use to kind of grow on. I think some people just maybe buy stuff that's purely based on like might growth and stuff, and that doesn't really help them like in their trades on the field or on towers. And being able to like capably rally captain or garrison captain is just a really nice feeling. You know what I mean? Feeling like you're the capable player. That being said, we're looking at 159 now. I think 159 is definitely stronger than 132. Like I definitely was like gassing them up. You know what I mean? Choking on their. Wait, is King not here? Or am I looking? Oh wait, I swear, like King was here, right? Did he migrate? I'm assuming it might be for the event, right? Like, there's like so many migrations, you can't even tell some of these groups. But I did see some of their reports. Like their armaments are absolutely insane here. Some of these players are just freaking jacked to this world. You got a pretty big group of fighters in any case. Like here, you know what I mean? I definitely gassed these guys up. You know what I mean? These guys look like a pretty good group. I saw them kind of fighting in, I think it was G3 last island against BTW, and they are a much weaker group in comparison, but kind of given their situation, I think they did an amazing job kind of holding out and fighting off two groups. So honestly, big bravo to those guys, because those guys look like some insane fighters. You know what I mean? 194. I actually think this bracket's kind of more even. I mean, I think this bracket's more even. I think 132. The only issue is like they have the big players, but I feel like they're lacking the overall player base. You know what I mean? To kind of I just don't think they have enough like T6 players and stuff. And T6 players aren't everything. If you can like coordinate like a massive group of T5 players, and obviously the other region can't kind of coordinate all their T6 players in one big blitz on the field, then you can kind of stand your ground with that. And I mean, I think that kind of takes looking at all these other like smaller might players and being like, okay, are these guys fighters? Like 130, like 87 million might, 141 million kills, pretty good fighter. Even if you see these like a lot of like T2, T3 kills, I mean, just in general, like that's still not a bad number for someone who's 87 million might. Really, these guys are at the very least willing to fight, even if it's not like you can call them farm killers. I hate when people do that too. Like, this dude's probably gonna be someone who's considered a farm killer. But I mean, game is game. You know what I mean? Like, game is game, guys. Okay, 127. We're looking at B8, by the way. But concerning B7, I think that 159 kind of has like maybe a slight edge. I don't know, man. I think 194 is also really strong, and 132 is a strong group. I just don't think they have like the numbers to kind of work. All right, so now we're looking at B8 though. We got region 127 here. This is one of those 400 mil whales that you just don't see often. Like I've seen this group quite a few times, honestly. At this point, I think like I've definitely seen this group quite a few times, and man, having a player like this is one of the like best things that you can have going for you. Like not only is it like attractive to people who might want to migrate in, it's just nice, defensive wise. Yeah. Okay. Just overall nice defensive wise, or even like rally captain wise. Just that can be what makes and breaks trades. Like if you're doing fights. I don't know why my stuff is deleting itself. Region 149. After this, I gotta chill, man. My freaking throat hurts. I'm like so sick right now. I am feeling a little bit better though. Region 149. I like this, dude. Like I love this. I love this kill count because this is so impressive to me. Like every time I see someone with this many T6 kills, I gotta give a like round of applause, especially at like 243 million might. I definitely feel like he's he's spent in the right places, right? Like, he's definitely spent in the right places. I feel like he's kind of like that guy I was talking about earlier, who was just really high mind. And also just look at those T6 kills, man. Like, people don't understand it, but man, getting that many T6 kills is no joke. And I can tell you guys, like, I mean, I'm obviously not the biggest spender, but like even then, I feel like I know how to fight smartly, and I'm not even like I'm like a quarter of that. Like a quarter of those kills in T6. We're gonna look at 175 now, though. 149. I mean, honestly, the first two regions honestly are already looking pretty balanced. This one, it would just be honestly. I don't actually. I feel like all these groups could probably defend themselves. I honestly think B8 is semi-balanced compared to some of these other ones. I feel like the bracketing is so weird sometimes though. Like it's I don't know, man. I feel like the matchmaking, at least on the top brackets, are usually some of the worst matchmaking that you'll ever see. Otherwise, I think a lot of these like the matchmaking is more fair. But you do see a lot of like a lot of these big groups, even like in Region 40, 28 here. Like this is insane, man. Like 12 billion might almost from God of Wars, okay? But I think the biggest issue for these guys is kind of what I was talking about earlier, you know what I mean? Like if you lack that mega whale, it's kind of hard to compete on like a big scale. I mean, they do have this guy actually, which is kind of great for gear. I think the only issue is I'm not sure like how active or how good of a fighter he is, being that he's like a much older player with only 100 million kills. But he does have like 11 million deaths, so I feel like he just doesn't field fight. Maybe he's like a tower player or something. Um, but we're gonna hope for God of War that this is their like trump card. You know what I mean? I definitely feel like that though. Like that loss of stats can be such a huge deterrent, and I feel like at 12 billion might, you're definitely gonna be thrown into some really wonky matchmaking. Even like especially being that the region 28. You know what I mean? So the likeliness that they might pair into a strong region like 10 or something like that is much higher. And I'm actually looking at their combat power, right? Their strength, and it shows them as 12 billion, like 12.4 billion, which is kind of insane since it counts the top 300 players. So I actually think these guys manage really well because the other alliances, they must not have like any players in these other alliances if that's the case. It's not letting me click on this. Okay. Yeah, I feel like the might around the region definitely has to be really small for them to be only measured at like 12.4 billion might, considering they already have 12 billion might almost in this group, and it is measured off like the top 300 players within your region. So that is kind of crazy to me. Like I didn't that they actually managed to pull that off. And that's actually pretty decently sized, like the strength scale. So it's definitely actually likely they'll avoid getting like really big whale brackets, uh, or whatever. At least like not in island, but maybe in like DarkSeal. Like island, it's much harder to kind of control unless they're splitting groups for island. You know what I mean? Either way, we're looking at region 42 now. This is also B9. I don't know if I mentioned that. Uh, I feel like this is kind of the same as region 28's issue, except maybe they're just lacking more T6 players, just like less. I mean, I guess they are a bit more split maybe. I don't know, man. I think it really depends off like the activity of these groups. You can have like I don't know, you see a lot of these like 80 mil guys who have like 10 million kills, and being that their IDs are 1-3, that means that they're probably in like a much older region, or at least they start in a much older region. And just seeing that is kind of discouraging. So I feel like you can't really rely on some of these players to be like maybe 20 T6 players running on the field, or T5 players, I mean, like kind of blitzing the field, helping rush off T6 players, because even if you're a group of 20 T6 guys, it's not really going to matter if you're facing a group of 100 T5 guys, since you won't be able to like really manage the field, especially if those T5 guys are all high tier T5 instead of being like 50 million might, they're all like 80 million might, and they're all willing to fight on the field and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of a hard say. I think in my opinion, this is a hard one, but in my opinion, I actually think that 28 is like the strong group here. I just think that they're gonna struggle if they have to like metro fight a group like 43 just because they don't have anybody with like insane gear. They do have that one guy I mentioned, but it's I don't know how reliable some of these players are. Like I'm not the like guru, okay? I'm not a guru. I don't really just know who's the god or who plays actively or not, especially if you have like 100 million kills that late in the game. It's just hard for me to tell. But I mean, like having that many deaths also just kind of tells me like he probably does do his part, his fair share. He just might not be like a field fighter. In any case, we're looking at B10. We got region 226, we got region 246, and we got region 251. And this is actually a bracket of migrators, right? This is a migrator group. I already know Hot 9 just because of Rise Against. I know this dude. He's actually a pretty chill dude. Like it lets me click anything. Okay, we'll check out the other regions before we kind of make our statement. I will say I actually think that this bracket's probably going to be a much more balanced, since I think the biggest thing or the biggest disparity you see with like a lot of these migrator groups is if they fight like an actual whale region or a region with like maybe 100 million players from only like months ago or months in, they're going to have much better gear, much better armaments because they're just much bigger spenders. You know what I mean? Whereas when you look at these regions of migrators, it's not like they're even small groups. And a lot of the time, I actually think all these groups are, fighters. Like they are actual fighters. I just think that it's really like, oh, we don't have these players with insane gear out of this world. This is probably a little bit more balanced. I think like Rise Against is like the kind of one player that you kind of have to watch out for just because he's probably a really good rally captain. At least his gear's better than the average player. 251. 251 is a big group, man. We have a big group over here. Okay, we got Soar, and I love Soar. I have a lot of love for Soar just because I love rocks, and I said it last time, but like rocks these nuts. Either way, I think that 251 is probably the stronger group. I think that 226 might come up second just because they have a player who can kind of run rallies, but I don't know if they can kind of field fight 246 or field control on them. That would be like the biggest issue. And I feel like a lot of people aren't willing to kind of waste all their healing on DarkSeal. Like I'm willing to fight in DarkSeal, don't get me wrong. Like I'm willing to put up some points. Maybe if I need a top commander here, I'm willing to heal and all that kind of stuff. But if it's just a fight for Metro, right? Like I'll fill my hospital, and if I'm feeling it, if I'm really feeling it, I'll heal. If I'm feeling like, okay, well, my alliance needs me, my group needs me, I'm willing to heal. Don't get me wrong, but just in general, I'm way less willing to fight in DarkSeal than I am in an event like Island. You know what I mean? But yeah, you guys give me your thoughts. I don't really have like a lot to say about this bracketing. This bracketing was pretty solid, if you had asked me. I think that like G1 through 4 probably was pretty bad, obviously. But otherwise, I think the bracketing wasn't the worst. Like this isn't the worst one we've seen, but the bracketing could be better. In all fairness, either way, you guys give me your thoughts. If you guys are having a good one, if your bracket's looking good, and just in general, if you're enjoying the holidays or whatnot, because Christmas is around the corner. Spend some time with your family and stuff. But yeah, I do hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna try to get better now, so I will stop this video. I do appreciate you guys, like I said, as always, and yeah, I will see you guys. Peace out.